The nature of graffiti is essentially about getting your feelings out and your frustrations out and your thoughts out. You know, the sense of graffiti art being for the community, by the community. I mean, there are a lot of cities and areas in cities where graffiti art is promoted so that people feel like it's their mohalla, it's their community, they own the walls, they're able to use the walls as they wish.
Sheikh Ahmad Ubamba belonged to an offshoot of the Tijaniya Sufi Brotherhood, and he also opposed the French resistance. But unlike Amir Abdul Qadir, who was another Sufi who did it through armed struggle in Algeria, Sheikh Ahmad Ubamba took the indirect route and urged his people to work, to do hard work, and especially to be of service to other people. Pictures of Sheikh Ahmad Ubamba are all over North Africa, and they were put up in large part as resistance to the French colonization. They didn't want to see the pictures of de Gaulle. They wanted to see pictures, so they put up these pictures. It was a sign of resistance.
The concept of protest has grown, where you had not a normal way of protesting, expressing yourself. So the things of chalo chalo, Nishtar Park chalo, you know, all that is fairly recent, I think, in terms of my life. Occasionally you do find witty phrases, which is very nice. That kind of writing, I think maybe it's been taken over by SMS, you know, whether it's suicide bombers or whether it's some latest political faux pas.
The creative aspect of it, that also ties in, because it's the same thing. I think it's sort of public art. The walls are public space. We are all experiencing them as we go around the city. That has always been a medium for the people to vent their protest, even in the past.
Graffiti, there's no idea of art on the wall, bhai. You're talking about something serious. It's wall chalking. It's only done by political parties in this country. It's like the art form that doesn't change for like 17 million years, and I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you know, it doesn't change at all because they don't see it's not done with that mindset.
Sometimes just the composition of it is just so exciting. It's wonderful. Of course it's art. It wasn't intentional, but sometimes non-intentional things are better than intentional ones, you know, when it comes to visuals.
If you make political art, you end up preaching to the choir. Usually the people who are going to go and see your art in a gallery are going to fall within the same band of the political spectrum as you as well, more or less. They are going to be critical of the military. So I feel that if you're going to criticize power or like critique power structures or hierarchies, whatever, then it's kind of pointless doing it in the gallery. It makes more of a point if you go and you talk about the Supreme Court conundrum at the court building, you know, like outside the court building. There is something about situating your art in a context that lends it greater meaning, a wider audience, more interactivity while making it and after.
When I started taking pictures, I have only seen sort of this public outcry of graffiti on the walls of Karachi after November 3rd. Graffiti which appeared all over the city after the imposition of emergency on November the 3rd. That was quite spontaneous, and it was like expression of public anger or the unhappiness of the situation.
I think that if you are making art and not political propaganda, then an element of enigma is important in it. With the imposition of the emergency, basically, it had to be a hit-and-run kind of mode of making art. So I started using stencils. The first one that I did was eject because I wanted it replicated across the city. So like I thought of a very basic design. After that, I did these large arrows using the number 420 repeated, and we used those to construct large arrows pointing to the Karachi bench of the Supreme Court. I thought that I'd be able to stoke the critical edge or a critical voice among the people who encountered my visuals, but only to learn that it's more of a tamasha, like it's more of a performance. I did stop signs in the aftermath of like the very day after Benazir's assassination to express my outrage at not only the violence of her death, but also the violence that ensued. There were torched cars all around, banks had been broken into, as you well know, and so I stenciled the stop sign and I spray painted it onto the destruction, in a sense, layering what already existed. The stop sign is a traffic sign. You spray paint that onto broken and torched vehicles and smashed banks, and it's a clear message. But the rickshaw driver who took me around, his job is to be on the road, right? He did not understand that sign. He's like, what are we doing? What does this say? We're dealing with a situation where people are intellectually lazy, people are visually lazy. So you've got to kind of speak into that discourse and exploit that for what it has to give, rather than be frustrated by it. Most recently, I just basically sprayed out the PO out of police to spell lice on police containers situated in the center of the city. Something like police, or if police turning into lice, again, that's in the English language, but anyone who has any powers of observation can see that dead bang opposite, you know, the police headquarters or whatever that is, like there's a big police station on Club Road. Dead bang opposite is a container in blue and silver, which are the colors of the police, that has been altered. So that shows an act of defiance, you know, even if it is not communicable in its entirety. It shows that something has happened, something has been altered, authority has been defied.
As the city has grown, it's become an uncontrollable city in many ways. I think, you know, if the city government was very serious about it, there's no problem. There's always a phone number, there's a product name. It's like the Kunda connections, you know, you just have to follow the wire and you know whose house it's going to. So I'm never quite sure when they say it's ruining the city, but then there's no effort to really curb it.
When any government, whether it's a city or a provincial or a federal government, whenever it decides to do away with the graffiti, they try to clean up the walls, it's never done in an even-handed manner. So for example, you wipe out everything but your own slogans. So how is it going to work?